Hey, my name is Dallas Gibson, and this is what happened to the Titanic. So what was the Titanic? It set sail April 10th, 1912. It was an 833-foot British passenger liner. The captain was Edward Smith, and there was a total of 2,228 people boarded the Titanic. Of those 2,228 people, 1,343 of them were passengers, and 885 of them were members of the crew. So the problems with the Titanic, it started with the colder than normal water, causing more icebergs. The whole compartments not being capped at the top. They were supposed to be capped at the top, so they are watertight and water can't get into one compartment from the other, which they weren't. So when the iceberg tipped it over, water filled in the other ones, which made it sink and go under the water nose first. And the lack of lifeboats and emergency procedures.
Veering to port, go 22 knots, sideswipes the iceberg. Murdoch ports around the iceberg, try to keep from hitting the propellers. That looks pretty good. Okay, so now we're watching an accelerated time. We see the first 5 compartments flood. They equalize pretty quickly. Bows pulled down. We see the port list. Port list looks right. That looks like about 9 degrees. Well, you can really see the effect of that list on the flooding. So yeah, superstructure starts to get pulled under. Funnels collapse at their base. Now the bow is accelerating downward. That looks good. We're starting to see the stern come up. We got our maximum peak stress, and yeah, boom, it breaks. Okay, bow swinging down. That looks good. The double keel hang on, and then they separate. Bow plunges straight.
So at 11:40 p.m., the Titanic hits the iceberg. At 12:25 a.m., Carpathia is around 58 miles away, or 4 hours. At 12:45 a.m., the first lifeboat is launched with just 28 of the possible 65 people they could have fit on it. At 2:20 a.m., the Titanic sleeps beneath the surface of the water. With water close to freezing, disorientation, exhaustion, and unconsciousness are likely within the first 15 minutes, with hypothermia and death within 15 to 45. At 4:10 a.m., the Carpathia arrives and starts to pull survivors from the Titanic lifeboats. At 8:30 a.m., the last of the lifeboats are rescued by the Carpathia. At 8:50 a.m., the Carpathia sets sail for New York with 705 survivors aboard. April 18th, 1912, the Carpathia arrives in New York, first at Pier 59 and then Pier 54.
To Pier 54. Located near 13th Street, the pier has been reconfigured to provide an enclosed area separate from the bike path where novices can learn how to ride a bike without the perils of oncoming taxicabs. However, it's not the first time in history that Pier 54 has provided a safe haven. 100 years ago, the pier was the docking location for the RMS Carpathia, the passenger steamliner that helped rescue and bring the 705 Titanic survivors to New York. On April 18, 1912, a crowd of 30,000 gathered at the pier to find out who had made it back alive. If all had gone according to plan, the Titanic's final destination would have been Pier 59 right behind me, which is now a golf driving range, a digital studio, and a microbrewery. Instead, the Carpathia only stopped there briefly to drop off the White Star Line's lifeboats before docking at Pier 54. Pier 54 made headlines again just 3 years later as the Lusitania embarked from the pier on its final voyage. It was struck by a torpedo fired by a German submarine on May 7, 1915, killing nearly 2,000 passengers on board.
So what was the end result? It took 2 hours and 40 minutes to sink, and 1,503 people died, including passengers and crew.